Man, of course these guys would have me doing the weirdest Bionicle sets. Just because I have a skull for a face doesn't make me weird. Okay, well, may as well make the most of it. Hello everybody, I'm Meso, and this is the top 10 weirdest Bionicle sets. Rounding off the list at number 10, we've got everybody's favorite Toa turned freak of nature, Nini Key. You see, even in a year like 2004 with a lot of set designs that broke from the norm, Nini Key still stands apart from the crowd. He's the only set of his kind in the entirety of Bionicle, with his upper half consisting of vaguely humanoid features and his lower body being very spider-esque. The problem being, the average spider doesn't really have giant crab claws for hands. All this is completely discounting that he has a Vaki head for some strange reason that was never really explained in the story, and it's a problem which he shares with Kreka. All in all, I think that Iki definitely earns his place in this countdown. At number 9, we have the Bow Rock, and the Bow Rock Call. Ah yes, the Bow Rock, beloved villains of Bionicle's second year. They were always described to us fans as bugs, but are they really? I mean, I can kind of see the roly-poly comparison, okay, but what about them is so bug-like? Their heads are huge, their main attack is that they thrust forward, and they roll up into balls. There's no danger there. If I saw one of these mooks lumbering toward me, I'd probably double over laughing before I'd be afraid. If you pushed one of these dudes over, they probably couldn't even stand back up because they're so top-heavy, and their limbs are so stubby. As far as the Call are concerned, they're literally Bow Rock clones, so all the above applies to them as well. The mere fact that they exist is strange enough to mention them on here. Coming in at number 8, we have Ernak. Ernak, represented in story as a creature from Skakdi mythology designed to strike fear into the hearts of everyone, has a pretty hilarious set design. He's got large, clunky, and unorthodox leg support, a really obnoxiously huge claw that literally only seems to be used to hold Zamor spheres. And listen, okay, I like skulls as much as the next guy, but that launcher is kind of excessive, don't you think? If Ernak looked at a mirror, he'd probably scare himself to death. Heading onwards to number 7, we have Muwaka and Kane Ra, or Kane Ra, depending on your preference. Personally speaking, most of the 2001 Ra here are weird in some capacity. They're vaguely inspired by real-world animals, and some translate that much better than others. But the Muwaka are slightly questionable. It's apparent that the Muwaka is based off of a tiger and the Kane Ra off of bulls. Like, okay, I get that. But the execution leaves something to be desired. For one, they have no back legs. Only treads. How would that work in a practical sense? Why even bother having an arrangement like that? Their front legs are regular and their back legs are treads, so how do they move? Are they constantly crawling, pulling themselves forward with their front legs? Do they lift their front legs off the ground and try to stand up straight and just cruise along with their treads? Also, I don't know about you guys, but a bull and a tiger are pretty different animals. So why do these two look pretty much identical, aside from slight modifications? Coming in at number 6, we have the obvious candidate, Gadunka. See, if Gadunka could talk and you asked him who his favorite set was, he'd say himself every time. Because he's got a big head. Get it? Nah, but in all seriousness, out of all the sets on this list, Gadunka's the one that I don't really think I need to elaborate on too much. He's just such an oddball. There's no set ever released in Bionicle G1 or G2 thus far that's anything like Gadunka. He's got everything that qualifies him to be on this list, from a really unorthodox build to his ridiculously huge head and insane proportions. He's certainly an anomaly in Bionicle set design. Taking the number 5 spot is Umbra. When Umbra's not out there being an expert-level roller skating champion, he's stuck in a chamber defending the Kanohi Ignika on Boyanui. Poor guy, never able to live his dreams. See, Umbra's quite the weird dude. Aside from his strange color scheme, which isn't really befitting of a being of light, He's got a crazy weapon that does a first for Bionicle to my knowledge and combines gimmicks from 2 subsequent years, with a very unique name, the Laser Lance. Lastly, of course, the infamous roller skates. In story, they supposedly allow him to travel at super high speeds, but in the set itself, they look questionable at best and affect his balance and posing quite a lot. But I mean, hey, can't fault them for trying to be original, and that originality secures Umbra a spot on this countdown. The number 4 spot goes to the Rahaga. The Rahaga at first glance may not necessarily appear any weirder in design than, say, the O3 Matoran or the Voyatoran. I mean, they're small sets. From this era of Bionicle, what do you really expect? That being said, their design screams of being thrown together from leftover parts. Like really, to someone not well versed with the Bionicle storyline, what are these supposed to be? They just look like random small people with Rakshi heads that look vaguely villainous. When I was younger, I actually thought for a while they were just a smaller breed of Rakshi. Seriously, if these had been released in 2003 and called, I don't know, Rakshi Va, I literally wouldn't have questioned it one bit. Not to mention the fact that I could probably do a whole video on how weird of a concept Rotuka spinners are. So I think these guys are a shoo-in. Moving into the top 3, we've got the Matoran. The original design for the Matoran. When you take off the nostalgia glasses, these sets leave a lot to be desired. These guys have literally no articulation aside from moving their limbs to the left and the right. They just kind of sit there. How do these guys walk? Do they just kind of waddle along like ducks? They're pretty much the most bare-bones Bionicle sets ever as well, featuring the lowest piece counts of basically anything. They have an excuse, of course. They're not bad sets, they were available through McDonald's, and they have a treasured place in Bionicle's history. But their quirks and oddities definitely seal them a solid place in this countdown. The number 2 spot is going to be given to the Terra Cotta. Ah yes, Bionicle's famed Rock'em Sock'em lizards. Without a doubt, the strangest of all the Bionicle Rahi, the Terra Cotta's inspiration is pretty unclear. It's like, yeah, okay, the Nui Rama are mosquitoes, Nui Jaga scorpions, Muaka tigers, Kanaira bulls, and Manas crabs. That all makes sense. The Terra Cotta is supposedly a kind of lizard? I don't really see it. I don't know what kind of lizards the LEGO designers were thinking of if that was their intent, but I can't personally think of any that, for one, look like that, and 2, have treads and boxing gloves. Personally speaking, the Terra Cotta are my favorite Rahi from 2001 because of their personality and unique charm, but I don't think anybody can deny that they are incredibly weird. And finally, the grand finale. The strangest Bionicle set of them all is the Clack. You see, this guy was released in 2008 as part of LEGO's Brickmaster initiative, and he's quite the set. He's got no real limbs aside from stubby claw things. I can't really tell whether that's a very large ponytail or if he's got a blade embedded in his head. And listen, I'm as big of a Jimmy Stringer fan as the next guy, but those turbines look like the worst Stringer cosplay of all time. He's also one of the most outlandish Rahi builds in all of Bionicle. Very unclear as to what exactly he's supposed to represent, if anything. Seriously, this dude is just bizarre. He reeks of something that would, under normal circumstances, have been thrown in some Duracell batteries and branded as a good guy, or a bad guy, or even a morally ambiguous guy. But LEGO decided they needed a Deus Ex Machina device for the 08 story, so they just canonized him. Sorry, Clack, but what the heck? You're really strange. I'm glad I never subscribed to Brickmaster, because otherwise I'd have this guy disgracing my collection. Phew. Sorry. Started to veer into worst sets territory for a while there. You're not bad just because you're weird, Clack. I'm sure you have some fans out there somewhere. Thank you very much for watching the top 10 weirdest Bionicle sets, but those were just our opinions. What are yours? Share your weirdest Bionicle set in the comments below, and feel free to continue the discussion on the TTV message boards at board.ttvpodcast.com. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.